This time on Whatever We Want, we talk about
The 8 most impactful pieces of media that inspired me to work in the film industry today. There are time codes down in the description if you'd like to jump around the different points in the episode. Enjoy! Welcome back to Whatever We Want, where we review content across all mediums of media, movies, TV shows, video games, and beyond to give you the most interesting behind-the-scenes insight, storytelling techniques, all that jazz, and more.
We go over everything from Disney, Marvel, Pixar. Let's jump right on into it.
PreBanter. Daniel, how's it going?
Doing pretty good, yeah.
Early Christmas episode. Yeah, so this is like we did this last year, but like I feel like every week in December we can just kind of like dress up Christmassy. I like your Christmas sweater. What do you got going on there?
Thank you, man. Yeah, I'm just chilling,
Oh, wow.
you know?
I actually didn't read the bottom. I couldn't see the bottom. It's just, I saw just. I was like, what on earth could
just
the bottom?
chilling,
Oh,
and,
it's a
I got a little
snowman.
snowman, you know?
Oh,
yeah.
That's a pretty hefty Christmas sweater. Like the collar is like, wow.
Well, it's
Ugly
a
Christmas sweater.
got a whole hoodie and
Oh, it's
everything.
a hood.
Yeah,
Christmas
so I could,
hoodie.
Oh God, my neck. My
Why
crack.
would you do that? Dude, you're like Christmas Palpatine and Christmas Sidious with that. All right. Well, for PreBanter, I just want to say, so we hit 50K on TikTok.
Yeah.
Thank you, seriously, everyone that follows us there and on all of our platforms. We started this year at like around 8K followers on TikTok, and now we just hit 50K, which is like so surreal. Thank you all for the support. Super thankful in this time of thanking. We're actually recording this on Thanksgiving, which is very fitting. We're thankful. Yeah.
It feels kind of weird being on Thanksgiving wearing all this red and green.
Not
but
for
we're just-
Evan.
And not for Evan. Oh my goodness. Evan's like, oh yeah, Christmas time.
I know this is a running joke. We just like bag on Evan. He can't defend himself. His love for
I just
Christmas.
lost one of my balls.
Oh no! See, that's what you get for disrespecting Christmas. His sweater just broke.
No.
All right. Also, PreBanter. Again, we're recording this on Thanksgiving, so the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special doesn't drop until tomorrow. But by the time this goes out, it'll be out. I'm excited to see that, and we can talk about that another time.
Did the Andor finale just come out too?
Yes, and so
I need to watch that episode.
Well, yeah. So this is gonna be weird because this episode is going out after we talk about the Andor podcast on last week's episode, but we haven't recorded that yet. Like, we're doing that all out of order again because I'm going home for the holidays, like end of December, so we're trying to like get ahead and backlog. So just if like cool comments, we're not caught up with all the most recent comments, that's why. But we see them all and we appreciate you. Yeah. All right. Ready to jump into the main segment of the week?
Yes.
Boosh, here we are. I don't know. We're here in the main segment. So this is going to be, hold on, let me explain the concept. We talked about it a little bit in the intro, but basically we're going to go through and talk about the most impactful and influential media that inspired me when I was younger into today to do what I do now. So Daniel did his 2 weeks ago.
Are you going to talk about like what you're doing now and go back like I did, or you just... Okay.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, but I'll probably say, I'm going to structure it similarly. I'm going to talk about like what I do now and then just talk about the media. I might not walk through like my entire life path. Maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. You know, it's a podcast. We'll let the conversation ebb and flow.
At the beginning, I was born.
Yeah. Well, first, my great grandma and my great. No. Yeah. So these are the 8 pieces of media that inspired me to become a filmmaker, to work in the film industry. So I work right now setting up Modern Day. I live in California and work at a visual effects studio. I have some credits on, we've talked about in this pod before if you're a returning viewer, but I've worked on the Lord of the Rings show, The Rings of Power, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Thor 4, some Netflix stuff. I'm trying to think of what is out that I can legally talk about. I'm just going to leave it at that before I say something that I'm not allowed to talk about yet. Yeah, but I work in visual effects as a coordinator, and I want to like work my way up to, make movies of my own. And so I'm going to talk about like the media that inspired me to get to this point and decide that this is going to be my life path. Yeah, so
where to begin, Jake?
I'm going to set a little bit of groundwork because I didn't always know that this was going to be my path. As I'm sure like everyone obviously doesn't know their path, but I actually went to college at Penn State and got accepted for engineering. I was a mechanical engineering major for one entire semester, or not even semester, quarter, like one entire, actually, no, it was a semester. Yeah. One entire semester.
I remember that semester for you because you were like the whole time, like you're going through your classes and stuff like that. Like we'd still like talk, and I'm pretty sure we're still doing the podcast at that point. Like that was at that time where we took the break.
No, the podcast started in 2019 and that was 2017, our first year of college.
Oh dang!
And I actually was pretty alone that that semester and that year because I was in a dorm, so I couldn't bring my computer, so we couldn't game or talk or anything.
Yeah, but I do remember you talking to us about it afterwards then, in that case. Where, like, you're always like, hey, I don't know if this is what I want to do. I don't know if this is, like, my...
Yeah.
Like, you want to be able to make things work, but you didn't know what aspects that you wanted to do that in.
Yeah, I knew that, like, I was good in high school at math and science, so I just kind of went into something that was math and science-y, like STEM related. And I got good grades.
Girls in STEM.
But I just wasn't, I wasn't enjoying it. So, and I like had an epiphany literally in the shower one day based on some of these pieces of media that I'm going to talk about. But I was just like thinking just about life. And I was like, you know what? Like, I think I want to do like movies and film, and I could edit or do something. And here I am. So, yeah, so I think honestly, potentially I'm going to jump into the first piece of media of the 8. And it's, you know, it's kind of a loose 8. Like, some of them have like 2 paired with it, so including this first one, which is a great way to start, like breaking the norm. But like, I wanted to say like Marvel overall, and but more specifically like Winter Soldier and Captain America Civil War were like extremely influential to me in like deciding that I wanted to like make movies and work in this industry. In my opinion, those two, like Winter Soldier and Civil War, the stories started getting better. Like Avengers, I think there was like a shift that's like kind of subtle, but if you think about it, like I think it's noticeable. I don't know if you think this too, but like Avengers was very like bright and fun and kind of cheesy a little bit, like think about Cap's suit. And then the juxtaposition, like jumping from Avengers to seeing Cap, like how gritty the Russo brothers made him in Winter Soldier, like even that first scene on the boat and like the new suit and just like him like kicking that guy off the boat, I was like, oh shoot, like this isn't just like cheesy superhero stuff, like this can be like a compelling story with like good action. And like I like latched onto that and was like, that's really cool, like I could see myself doing something like that. And then Civil War came out spring 2016, and like I said, I went to college the following fall of 2017, and like I said, I didn't have my computer or anything at that point, so like in my downtime I often just found myself like when I was trying to unwind, I would like watch cast interviews, like a ton of cast interviews with like the cast from Civil War about like their stories from production, like behind the scenes, and that really like clicked it in my head where I was like, oh, there's like teams like what Ratchet and Clank did for you. Like I realized here, like, oh, there's like people that were making this movie and they seem to be having fun with it and are like just like all working together, and like they get paid to like make these Marvel movies that like I love and enjoy so much as like this teenager. And so I kind of started seeing at that point that it was like, oh, this is like a viable path. And then like I said, decided the end of fall of 2017 that I wanted to do something creative and like tell stories. Yeah, so potentially that Marvel might be like the most directly like impacting my decision in like fall of 2017 to like decide to switch to like work in film. Yeah, I also think it's really cool, like looking back, I was inspired by all these like Marvel stories, and now I have my name in the credit of all those Marvel projects that like I mentioned. So I think that's like a subtle brag, but I think that's so cool.
Yeah. No, it's good to be full circle, you know?
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Daniel, on just like Marvel in general, and like also the impact it's had on me? Like, do you see that at all? Or
oh yeah, dude, all the time. Like, it's like I feel like it's something that where you are now at a point now to where, I mean, like you said, you're able to have different perspectives with it now because you are working somewhat on some of these projects. Yeah. So it's crazy to think about too from that perspective that like, hey, you went from somebody that was full on consumer to somebody that then dove into like, hey, how does this work behind the scenes, to now actually being the guy that's the guy in the chair.
I am a guy in a chair. I spent a lot of hours in that chair.
Yeah. So it's a nice progression there. It's yeah. From something on the outside, it you know, makes sense. It looks good.
I just thought, what if like my boss comes in and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm just like, porn." That'd be actually impressive if I managed to pull up porn, just because like of all the firewalls we have in our office, like with the secrecy of like the projects we're working on.
Challenge yourself and do that.
If I like hack, like I managed to break our like super secure system, and like, why'd you do that? Like, what are you trying to leak? And I was like, I just wanted to pull up some, you know, I'm just kidding.
Listen, I was just bored. Okay, just the work is coming in my way.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's the first bit of media that really inspired me and like especially at the pivot point where I decide like I want to do this. The second bit of media is not like, it's actually interesting. It's like kind of a new digital age media. It is the Yogscast on YouTube.
I'm surprised you actually didn't bring them up first.
I know, but yeah, so the Yogscast are this group of gaming creators on YouTube that I watched when I was like, started watching them when I think it was like 11 or 12. They were like from England and made like Minecraft gaming videos, and I just like loved that stuff. I think from a grand overall perspective, it was cool to me to see them like having fun. That was like one of the first cases I saw of someone like having fun while working, like while doing their job. Their job was just to play video games, and of course, like as a 11, 12-year-old kid, you latch onto that. It also, I think, showed me that like your job is like limited by like your imagination and your work ethic. As cheesy as that sounds, it's like true, because like that job wasn't around like 10, 15 years before they were doing it, but they like grinded and made it happen.
They came up with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that ultimately, like more directly, that inspired me to make YouTube videos of my own, which is like where we formed like our gaming channel, the Blue Butter Bagels, which never like took off, which is totally fine.
Ever video of you.
Oh, we don't have to bring that up.
Here's how to make a crafting table.
Hey,
so funny.
I like am not even ashamed of that, because like it led me to where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that little kid would be in the credits of Thor 4? Not me. But yeah, like I think it never took off, but like it forced me to start editing and like making videos and just seeing how that process started. And that introduced me to like storytelling, and honestly, that was like the launch point of everything. Like I got interested in editing, like creating videos, and like those skills I still use today. And like you were talking last time on your episode about like, Cheetah 3D was like this crappy software that you had to use. Like I had the same thing. I had Windows Movie Maker, which was like the crappiest free. I don't even know if it was non-linear. Like it was just this horrible editing software that like you couldn't like put two clips on top of each other. That's how bad it was.
Really?
It's like a basic editing thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was like a vertical timeline too. It would like scrub like a page. It was so weird.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, and then I graduated into like Magic's Movie Maker. I spent like $50 to get that, which was like pretty much Premiere Lite, like ripped off, like this crappy knockoff. And then in college, I started working with Premiere, which just like changed everything. But yeah, so the Yogscast like launched all of that, like how I got interested in editing. And I would 100% would not be here like in LA and on this podcast if I had not logged that many hours watching the Yogscast. And I think it's also so cool because I had the opportunity to meet a lot of them back in 2019. They were having like a YogCon. It's like a convention just for them. Like there's like TwitchCon and VidCon, all that stuff. They had YogCon where it's just for them in the UK, and I like volunteered and was accepted to work there. So I got to go. Like I didn't have to pay to go like most people that were just going as like fans. I got to go and like work, and I got to actually like be close to like a ton of them and like met them, and I had a lot of good conversations. Got close with the one creator, Harry. He gave me like a free shirt, which was so sick. And they were like very kind, and I was honestly a little nervous about like, they say like never meet your heroes, but like they were super kind the whole time, especially in this stressful environment of putting on their first convention. I still talk on LinkedIn with a lot of the behind the scenes crew. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I got to meet them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Daniel, your thoughts on the Yogscast? Did you ever get into them?
Nope.
Okay.
I've seen like clips and stuff here and there. I think some things that you've shown me, they are pretty funny people. You know, just not my speed of stuff.
If you guys are interested in checking out the Yogscast, they are still around. They do like a yearly charity live stream, like all of December. They do it. So like if you go over, if you go over to, it's called Jingle Jam. They've been doing it for like years, and they often raise like $1 million within like the first day or two, or £1 million. I don't know which one they raise, what currency they use, but yeah, they like support a lot of charities and just like live stream all day, every day. And all the donations go directly to like the charities. It's like this huge event, which is pretty cool.
Sounds like they carry a lot of weight.
Yeah. 1,000 pounds. Haha, currency joke. Yeah. So super thankful to the Yogscast. All right. Number 3. I've got Pixar on this list, specifically Toy Story / The Incredibles. So again, fitting 2 in there, but I wanted to mention each of these because like I feel like Toy Story, I kind of want to talk about that and just how like the story leading up to Pixar and just Pixar as a company, how it's inspired me. I'm rereading Ed Catmull's book on like his journey to like forming Pixar, And I know you know this, Daniel, but like it's just so crazy how it came about that they made this 3D computer generated, like fully 3D CG animated film. Like the perseverance required for that is insane. Like Ed Catmull had this vision, this idea, like in the 60s when computers were first coming around, and he was like playing around with like making that hand, that like famous hand animation, like just the technological innovation required to do that. And then he spent the next like 3 decades grinding and working at for other people, hiring a crew, until finally like he got a chance with Disney. And I'm like simplifying this greatly. Like his perseverance and all of Pixar's is astounding. But like Steve Jobs bought them, and then they worked with Disney to like make Toy Story. And I think the innovation at their company and perseverance is incredible. But also they paired it with just beautiful storytelling. Like top notch, especially their early stuff like Toy Story and The Incredibles. But like I feel like they could have easily leaned on just like the technological innovation back in the 90s of like, oh look, it's a 3D CG animated film to get butts and seats for audiences. But like the story is also just so pure and so good. You connect with it so well. Like that elevates it, and the technological innovation elevates it. That's just so awesome, and I love that stuff. Yeah, and just like it's an underdog story. Like Disney didn't have faith in this film because like they had never made a film before. Pixar had never made like a feature length film, 90-minute film before. They had done like some commercial work just so they technologically knew how to do it, but they didn't know if their storytellers could do it. Like John Lasseter was the storyteller that was like directing this film, and he was fired from Disney a few years before. So like obviously they were going to be skeptical of it. But yeah, just breaking away from the norm. I really want to do an and I think we might eventually do an entire episode dedicated entirely just to the history of Pixar.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Because it is important for both of what we both do, you know? Like, it kind of is the roots of it.
I just need to, like, dedicate the time to, like, read that Ed Catmull book plus the other Pixar book I have and, like, take good notes. I want to do it justice. That's the only reason we haven't done it. Yeah. And then The Incredibles is just a kind of extension of everything. It's, like, my favorite Pixar film and potentially probably favorite animated film ever, just with nostalgia reasons, but also like again the technological innovation with like first CG humans, like it's where the story is focused on the humans, 3D generated humans, and the story is just so good. Like it's the family story. I just love The Incredibles, man.
It's a good film.
Yeah.
All
right. Yeah. So that's my number 3. Ready to jump into number 4?
Yeah.
All right. Number 4, Star Wars. I'm spoiling it now, bro. It had to come up. I usually choose like 1 or 2 from a specific like thing, but I just want to say Star Wars in general. Like, I think a lot of people say like Star Wars influenced them and impacted them, but like it's true. Like it's as cheesy as it is, it really impacted me. And I know a lot of these are like really mainstream media. Like it's not any like, oh, this independent film, indie independent. That's the same thing. Whatever. Like inspired me, but like no, I mean. This I don't know, I'm just being truthful to...
Here's the thing with that. I don't feel like it needs to be. Because if it's something that touches you, that's what's important, you know?
Yeah, I know. That's true. I'm just defending myself arbitrarily. I probably shouldn't have to do that. Yeah, you're right,
No,
Daniel.
right. No, I know there's going to be people that are going to be like, well, what about this? What about that? So I know where you're coming from when you say that, but like, you know, you're good. It's all good.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Just Star Wars, what inspired me about it, the legacy and impact it had. Like, I was reading about it again in Bob Iger's book, which, again, Bob Iger's back for Disney. Like, what the heck?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, you just told me about that. What? It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're like, hey, did you see the Bob Iger stuff? I'm like, what do you mean? And I like looked it up. I'm like, oh, he's back. He's back.
I know. I was thinking. I was literally when I texted you that I like looked up Tobey Maguire meme like in that like the GIF search on the iPhone for he's back, and I couldn't find it. Otherwise, I was gonna send that to you. But yeah, just Star Wars. Like reading about it, like in Bob Iger's book, like George Lucas had the most successful film in history with Star Wars 1, like A New Hope. And he didn't settle and think like, all right, now I've done it, I can relax. He just kept innovating and pushed the entire industry even further. Like made ILM, which launched us like into a new age of visual effects and like pioneered digital filmmaking, and especially in feature films. Like I think that's so inspiring. Like if that doesn't inspire you, I don't know what does, man. Like think what you want about all these people. Like I'm sure not all of them are like perfect, but like I just think it's really cool what he's done. Like brought on teams of people and resources to change the industry to what he wanted.
Yeah.
And also just aside from what he did outside the film itself like is amazing. Like the world building in Star Wars. I think it's also just the franchise of Star Wars is like a unicorn, because like Star Wars started as a film, and I don't think we've talked about this much, but like it's spawned this plethora of stories. And if you think about successful film industries, more often than not, they start as books or comics or some other media that it like is based on.
Then
Star
spread
Wars,
out. Yeah.
Yeah, Star Wars is one of the only like media empires that I can think of where it's like not based on anything else, just like George Lucas's idea started as a film. Like, are there any others that are like as big as Star Wars? That like
nowhere is big. I mean,
like I don't even know any that are like close. Like I'm thinking like the big franchises that we talked about in our franchise episode.
Closest
like
thing I could think of, maybe, I don't know, Avatar with like their toys and games and stuff like that.
The Last Airbender.
No, like the blue cat people.
No, because that's only one film as of now. Like,
but that's my
the second
point.
one's about to
Like,
come out, but like
that's what I'm saying. It's nowhere near as big. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking of like the other biggest franchises we talked about. Marvel started as comics, so it's based in the comics. Didn't start as films. Harry Potter started as J.K. Rowling's novels. Yeah. Pirates of the Caribbean isn't even like at first I was like, oh, maybe that, but no, that was based on the Disney theme park ride. The ride came first, and then they were like, let's make a movie out of this ride. So like that's based on something. Lord of the Rings, and I don't want to diminish all these things. These are great.
No, it's just talking about the
franchises.
comparison of like where their origin.
Yeah, but where did
was.
it come from? Yeah. Lord of the Rings was started with J.R.R. Tolkien's books, which is incredible again, but it started as books. And even the Disney princess stories is like a huge industry within itself, but a lot of them are based on like fairy tales from like hundreds of years ago. So I think it's so cool that Star Wars like started as like this guy's idea, and he made a film about it, and it spawned everything, because that's like so rare in the industry, I feel like. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Star Wars before I jump into number 5?
No, I think we're pretty good with that.
Okay, number 5. Well, you mentioned Avatar. Avatar: The Last Airbender, not the blue people Avatar. So a lot of these examples that I've talked about like really focus on like stepping outside of the norm and not doing what's like conventional or like expected. I'm not sure any of these exemplify that more than Avatar: The Last Airbender. There's like arguments to be made, but like this show is incredible, and I cannot say that enough. Like, it is so deep and emotional. Like, it's supposed to be like a quote-unquote kids show. Like, I was exposed to it because it was on Nickelodeon, like a kids animated television channel. I like can't even describe how good this is with just English language. Like, it's so much more than just like a kids show. Like, it has story arcs and characters and world building that is out of this world. And the fact that the creators like got this on a mainstream media channel for kids is just incredible. Like, you can enjoy it as a kid, as an adult. And the story behind the production of it, how it got made, is inspiring. I was listening to some podcasts where they interviewed the original creators, and the creators were like fresh out of college by like a few years, maybe less. They pitched this and got it like greenlit. And so they were like in their mid-20s running like a show for Nickelodeon. In the podcast, they said that they were often a lot younger than the people they were like managing and directing. And the one creator had like a really big bushy beard. So not a lot of people knew he was actually like younger than them until like it came up in conversation. They were like, wait, what? You're how old? And I just think that whole story, the lesson I take away from that is like, it's so amazing and inspiring that anyone can do and make anything. Like, as cheesy as it sounds, it's true. Like, you should, with work ethic, like they had a vision, they made it happen. They wanted more like Eastern and Asian influence in their story. And they made it happen in like an easily digestible way for Western audiences. They trusted their artistic ability and like ran with it. I just cannot say enough about this show. Yeah. And also Dave Filoni directed a lot of season 1.
Yeah.
The episodes before moving on to Clone Wars. So like, how could it be bad? You know? Yeah.
I mean, I remember for Avatar, wasn't it originally only supposed to be like book 1 until like they got like to see like how the audience view of it was, and then they got the other 3 books.
I'm not entirely sure. Maybe we should do an Avatar history episode.
I feel like we should. I feel like that'd be a good thing to go over, because again, it is a beautiful series.
Yeah, for anyone that's interested in just like learning more about Avatar: The Last Airbender, they do have an official podcast where the voice of Zuko and the voice of Korra are the two hosts. And they literally are going through every episode of Avatar right now, like recalling it, like reviewing it, kind of like our Roswa, where they like just talk through the whole episode. But occasionally they bring in like the creators. That's actually the podcast I was listening to where they interviewed the creators of the show. They bring on like voice actors and just like hear about behind the scenes stories from production, which again is the stuff I love. So like, yeah, definitely check that out. My roommate Logan, who's like made some cameo appearances briefly on the podcast back when I was like in college, he is like a huge fan of that podcast. We're both huge fans of the show. I watched that show like with all my roommates in college again. So yeah, I cannot speak highly enough of Last Airbender. Oh, did I tell you about the time that like this girl invited me over? I think I was like in elementary school, and I think she wanted to like hang out because she liked me, but I just wanted to watch Avatar: Last Airbender because it was the series finale.
I think you did. Yeah. So then you like, does she come over to your place? Or you go over to her place.
So I went over to her place, and she said it was like for her birthday party, and I was like, okay. And I got there, and it was me, her, and one other girl. And I was like, what is happening? This is not a birthday party. She could tell I was kind of like feeling awkward, and she put on the TV and like Avatar: Last Airbender, the finale was on. I was like, oh my gosh, like she could see I lit up, and she was like, oh, do you want to watch this? And I was like, oh, sure. Like, yeah, do you want to? And she was like, yeah. And I think she was just trying to like appease me. Cause like she wanted me to be excited to be there. So like we sat down and started watching it. And after like the finale was like a 4-part finale. So after part 1, she like stood up to get going, and then the next part came on, and I was like just still sitting there. And she was like, I think we're gonna go swim. And I was like, okay, have fun. And I just sat there and watched like the rest of Avatar: The Last Airbender while I'm alone with 2 girls like swimming, and I'm just like, yes, Avatar.
Oh man.
Yeah, priorities were straight that day.
I would have done the same thing, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I was not missing Sozin's comment. All right, so that was number 5. Number 6 of 8, Forrest Gump. I have to include this. I feel like this was one of the first films that opened my eyes. Like I said, I'm a big fan of action and sci-fi, but this opened my eyes, and I started analyzing it of like, oh, there are like, you can make really cool other stories besides just superhero and Star Wars stuff. Like, I just love Forrest Gump. It's such a good story. I was so invested in this story beyond just the spectacle of what I usually see, like I said, like with action. You connect so well with the characters, and it inspires me to want to make movies where you connect with the characters.
Yeah.
It's also just such a unique layout. Like, he's sitting on a bench just recalling seemingly somewhat unconnected events of his life, but you're like so compelled to like invested just to watch
sit
it
and listen and watch. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I think I've told a story where I've like cried during the running scene because I was on the treadmill and he broke out of his legs and he was running, and I was like, this is such a gift that I could do this.
I know from experience that it's a gift to be able to just run.
Yeah. Anything you want to say about Forrest Gump?
I mean, no, I think you pretty much said it pretty well. I mean, it's very compelling, and the way that it does storytelling is beautiful. It pulls you in to watch it, and I agree with you on that. That it's. I'm happy it's on your list.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Speaking of Tom Hanks, though, actually, I saw The Fabelmans yesterday, the new Steven Spielberg movie, which was pretty good. And before it, though, there was a trailer for A Man Called Otto, which is like Tom Hanks is like a grumpy old man, but then like this family comes into his life, and like these kids like open his heart. It looks pretty good.
I haven't seen the trailers, but I'll check it out.
Yeah. All right. Next on my list, number 7 of 8, The Force Unleashed. So this is a video game. What?
For some reason, my mind went to The Last Jedi. I'm like, The Force Awakens. That's what I went to. And I was like, what the why?
Yeah, what if I was just like, yeah, number 7, Thor 2.
But no, Force Unleashed, that's a good pick.
Yeah, Force Unleashed, it's like, it was one of the first video games I remember where like the graphics jumped, and not again just the graphics were like crazy, but like the storytelling in the video game. And I think this opened my eyes, like, oh, like storytelling in general is what I love. Like, I love film, and that's the avenue that I want to pursue storytelling in. But storytelling just in general, like in books and video games, comics, anything, is like so awesome.
Yeah.
And I think Force Unleashed opened that to me. Yeah, I feel like I could have lumped that in with Star Wars above, but I feel like it deserved its own call out.
Yeah. I think it brings up a pretty good point, too, of the combination of the media and the storytelling. It seems like this is like a path that or correlation that you're trying to see. as you're getting through more and more with your progressions, like you started to open your eyes more and be like, hey, what kind of medium do I want to use to tell these stories? I'm now realizing I want to be able to tell stories, but what part of this or what tools do I want to use to do that?
Yeah, and our conversation a couple weeks ago about the genres, like, I feel like is also an extension of that even a little bit. Like, once I decide, okay, I want to do film, like, what kind of film, or even, like, video games, like, what style of video game, like, what art style do you want it to be, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
All creative questions, which are really cool. All right, you ready for my number 8?
Yeah.
Into the Spiderverse. Don't think I forgot it, Daniel.
Yeah. I was going to say, if you didn't put that on the list, I'd be like, boy.
Again, just like, this specifically inspired me with the breaking of the mold for normal 3D animation. Like, every convention is broken. For example, like, defocus is chromatic aberration, the stylized action frames, animating on twos. Just, again, the technical innovations. I think we should do, again, an entire Spider-Verse episode.
We should, dude. I'd be totally down. Dude, I could break down so much of the technical aspects of it. It is not a joke. I love what they did to break and make the new standards of the industry.
I think, I totally agree. And I think what's also really special about Spider-Verse is I think the further I get, and like what's really inspiring is the further I get in the industry, I've been starting to like criticize things more because like I'm trying to find what I like, what I don't like. And so it's not as easy for like stuff to excite me and wow me as like when I was a kid and just kind of blindly accepted everything. So when something does stand out like this, as much as this did, and like wow me and be like, wow, this was like an experience that has never been done before, that is incredible. And I think that's just worth praising. I
totally agree.
Daniel, that was my 8. So
that's a pretty good list, man. Yeah, that's a solid 8. I like how with your list you went. For me, I was focused more on the story of like, hey, what media over time was I consuming? Well, you focused more on like what the lessons I'm learning for you. Yeah. So it's cool how we both look at it from those like kind of like similar but also different perspectives.
Yeah, I actually kind of wrote like a thesis summary at the end. I realized. I think I honestly like. I think as I'm reading all of and after reflecting on all the things that inspired me, I think. And let me know if you think this seems fair or wrong. But I think what I'm connecting with and what's impacting me is technological innovation that changes the film world paired with masterful storytelling. That could like sum up what excites me.
Yeah, I think the only thing is you put the storytelling first.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't so masterful storytelling paired with technological innovation that changes the film world.
Yeah.
I agree. I like that.
You like the technology and all that, but the more important aspect to you is the story. And for that, you then use the technology to then
always.
Help that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for pointing out that. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, out of my 8 things in media, is there any that you think like had the most impact on me, or like, I mean, I that's such a hard
The Incredibles.
Question. Really?
Dude, you love The Incredibles. I think, and the reason I say that is that it as a film for you, it was always like your favorite animated film, and that kind of was analogous to opening you up to like what can be done story-wise.
Yeah.
Like you have Star Wars, sure, you've always had Star Wars, but the difference there is that with Incredibles, you're still seeing storytelling being done, but largely with the other aspect that you talk about, which is that technology that's now pushing the field. So that's kind of like the perfect combo for the time of where you were absorbing all of this stuff. So I'd say that, honestly.
Okay, yeah, because that came out like when we were young, when I was like very I don't know, malleable.
You're very spongy. Yeah.
What is the word I'm thinking of?
No,
impressionable.
Pretty good. Yeah,
that's it.
Good too. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Ready to jump into the next segment?
Yeah.
TTTT. Did you know that they flipped the entire ending to WALL-E because it wasn't working?
Flipped? Flopped? Flooped?
Flipped.
What?
So,
why?
Again, this is in the Ed Catmull book that I was reading. I think it's really interesting. But when Pixar was developing the story for WALL-E, instead of having Eve save WALL-E after his sacrifice towards the end, the original script had WALL-E saving Eve after she got injured.
Oh.
And the team realized as they were working that the moment didn't have the huge emotional impact that they were looking for, and they didn't know why, until one day Brad Bird, the director of The Incredibles, pointed out that this ending was depriving the audience of what they were waiting the entire film to see. Of course, Wally would want to save Eve. He fell in love with her the moment he saw her. But the audience wants to see Eve reciprocate that love, the moment where she throws away all of her programming and goes ham to save Wally. And so they flip the ending.
Is that how he said it?
No, I'm paraphrasing a bit. No, he didn't say ham. He said imagine
that in the meeting though.
And he said and goes all out. That's actually what he said. But I thought ham sounded pretty better. Yeah, but so they flipped the ending so that Eve saved Wally, and it worked. It created a movie that was out of this world.
No, I don't see that's a very good call, and honestly, to have her go ham, that was the right way to go.
Imagine Eve instead of like having the plant in her chest, she just has like a lump of ham.
This will fix you, Wally.
Yeah,
she just puts it inside of him, like fix your circuit board.
It's like the Pixar theory where they're all connected. It's like the Lightyear meat sandwich. That's the same ham from Wally.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, but I thought that was pretty cool. TTTT. I didn't know that one. Even though I read that book, I just reread it and remembered. All right, ready to jump into the next segment to draft.
Yeah, what we drafted today?
So we're drafting MCU films.
Ooh,
I'm first this time.
Weren't you first last time?
No, you did Thanksgiving. No. Well, technically, we're in order of recording. You went first last time, but I think I might have 2 weeks, or you might have 2 weeks in a row of going first, just with the way the podcasts are dropping. But for recording, we're just gonna do recording versions instead of keeping track of everything. So I'm first. My number one, I'm picking Infinity War, baby. Was that gonna be your one?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was because it's a
perfect combination. Yeah. Here, you say it.
Everything that was leading up to the 10 years, all the heroes in one movie, and I think like Endgame, you could say is a combination, but this like had so many weaving storylines that could have so easily been jarring, like disorienting, but they wove it together so well. Like it's so easy to track and follow with all those characters. The Russo brothers did a phenomenal job. The memory of that theater going experience also with like Thor coming down and just like being a part of that historical moment is so awesome.
I was gonna say, I mean, it wasn't just that. I mean, there's so many moments to where things were like adding up to like where like Cap picking up the hammer. You know, when they brought everybody back.
Cap picking up the hammer was Endgame.
No,
Cap picking up the hammer was Endgame. He throws it at Thanos.
Oh yeah, I'm getting them flipped.
Wow.
Oh my
Fake
god.
fan.
No, my god. I thought you were saying Endgame. Oh my god.
No, I said Infinity War.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I'm so good.
I think Infinity War is a ton better than Endgame in my mind.
Really?
My FBI agent is doing work though. I saw like after I wrote this list and had Infinity War's number 1, I saw a throwback TikTok clip of an audience reaction to Infinity War like 10 minutes later. It was crazy.
They're spying on you, dude.
Yeah. That was my number 1.
So with that said, oh my god, I thought you gave up Endgame. I'm going to take Endgame.
All right.
And the reason I have to say it is again for the moments like that to where it was a continuation. It was the comeback from Infinity War.
Call it a comeback.
I liked Infinity War a lot because it made Thanos the protagonist and finally seeing like the villain like win one. That was something that Marvel needed to do. But then for Endgame, having everybody come back and like all of seeing the deprivation of the heroes and like them doing what they need to do this time heist and like get everything working there.
Time heist.
You know me, I'm a sucker for heist. So that was like the ultimate heist.
Yeah.
So it was just it was beautifully done.
I respect
and then they get those moments back. It was great. What's your next one? I feel like I know what your next one is.
Thor 2. I'm just kidding.
I knew it. No.
No, it's Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Yep.
This is one of the first.
Had to be done.
Yeah, this is one of the first films that got me like turned on to the idea of like making movies, and I feel like this is also just a pivot point in the MCU where like things are less bright and campy like compared to Avengers. Like I mentioned earlier, like Cap's suit, for example, is so bright in Avengers, and then like in this one it like flips and they're like, oh no, this can be like serious and gritty and like a thriller, political drama kind of thing. So I thought it was cool.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I'm going to have to say the first Avengers. And the reason I say this...
Okay, yeah, I know. I respect that.
I don't know if it's on your list or not, but the reason why I'm saying that is because I feel like if there's any one of these films that I'm most likely to go back and watch, say like with family, something like that, it'd probably be the first Avengers, because it's like it's the nice first like route to where everything did come together for the first time, and it's just nice having that kind of energy throughout the entire film.
Totally fair.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pick Guardians of the Galaxy. It had no right to be that good. James Gunn, again, went ham. Absolutely ham.
Yeah.
And, like, redefined space for the MCU. Like, compared to, like, again, Avengers, I love Avengers, but, like, compared to, with the scene with Loki in space in the Avengers is so flat and just looks like a soundstage. And then, like, the color and intensity James Gunn brought to it, plus the soundtrack, oh, man. Like, it should not have worked as well as it did, but it worked. So
I mean, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, they literally added so much more to just the understanding of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and opened up so many doors to like where these stories can now go.
Totally.
Which is perfect.
All right. What's your next one?
Next one, I'm going to have to say, honestly, Captain America, the First Avenger.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, I love that movie so much, man. I love it because it introduced Cap in a way that I felt was very fitting. And at the same time, because it's not like a modern day thing, it's very easy for me to be able to kind of disconnect and fall into the story of that time. And I think it was really well done. Yeah.
Fair. That's not even on my list. Wow. Okay. All right. Sorry. I don't know what I'm saying.
No, I like a lot of the early Marvel stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, a lot of the later stuff is good, like, is really good. But, like, I'm at home. I feel like I'm at home with a lot of the early stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, my next one, speaking of early Marvel stuff, I've got Iron Man on my list, the original. Like, it launched the MCU, dude. And I've also got a sweet spot for my boy Jon Favreau. I mean, what else can you say? Like, I remember watching that for the first time when I was 9 and seeing the VFX on that suit. Even back then, I was like, wow, that is incredible.
Dude, it was crazy.
All right.
I'm going to say Ant-Man.
What?
Yeah, I know, out of pocket. But hear me out. Again, I'm a big...
Okay.
But here's...
The Spider-Mans? Okay.
I'm going to be honest here. Like, I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I don't know what it is with the storytelling of this version. I don't sit at home with it. I like the stories, they're good, but they don't sit at home with me.
Okay.
Right?
Which is ironic because Home's in all the names of them.
Yeah, I know. I didn't even think about that. But I think it's also largely biased too, because like I grew up with Tobey's Spider-Man, you know?
Which is why I was thinking maybe No Way Home might have been on your list because it has all of them.
Yeah, that's the thing. I love No Way Home, but it's not on my list actually, because like it's something where I feel like I've seen it and I needed to see it, but I'm not sure if I'd go and rewatch it. You know what I mean? Like Spiderverse is something I'd go and rewatch. Purely for like the art and the story and all that.
I feel that. I haven't rewatched No Way Home since it came out, I don't think.
But
I still think like the accomplishment and the crazy just fact that three generations of Spider-Man on screen.
Crazy.
Incredible.
Totally
I never thought I would see that. Yeah. But Ant-Man, sorry. What were you saying about Ant-Man?
But no, the reason why I'm saying with Ant-Man is because it's now adding like... Yeah,
the heist
it's adding this new dimension of like what heroes can do in this case. You're heroes stealing shit from the Avengers, you know? so it's funny to get moments like that to be able to have a character that is still a hero but unconventional. And I think that's a cool take. Yeah.
My last one, I am saying Thor Ragnarok.
Ooh, dang, I didn't even think about that. Oh, but yeah, that's a good pick.
Baby. I think honestly, I feel weird about this one. I feel like I put Taika on a pedestal before Love and Thunder came out. And now that it came out and I was kind of disappointed with Love and Thunder, I feel like it's retroactively like hurting my opinion of Thor 3, which is totally not fair. I think I need to rewatch Ragnarok to give it a chance. It's still such a great film. But yeah, I don't know. It's such a weird like thought I kind of had. But yeah, it's a reimagining of Thor. Like he reinvented Thor in this movie for the better.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of saved that character. So I think it's a great movie.
That's
still.
like a necessary pick, honestly. If we didn't pick that, people would have been pissed. Because it did. It totally changed, especially after like Thor 2. Like Thor 2, like everybody was like, okay, what's he gonna be doing now? Is it gonna just be like these grayed out stories, or is it gonna be? And then it brought Thor into this world that's, again, it was beautiful because it was like Guardians opened up the door, but now Thor is the one walking through it to like these different worlds and like what is possible with that character. So it's pretty cool. Plus I also love just his development too, like seeing like how he became more sarcastic and more like energized from hanging around on Earth for so long.
Around Tony Stark.
Yeah, so it's cool seeing like those implementations to his character.
Definitely. What's your last one?
since we said it, I gotta bring it up now. Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Okay.
Again, it is beautiful seeing all the Spider-Men come together again.
Yeah.
It's something, and also just a villain like Willem Dafoe as
oh my gosh,
Goblin again, dude. Just the way he was portrayed, like it was beautifully
Alfred
crazy.
Molina as well did a fantastic job.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god, just seeing him back as Ock, and then also like him, like I love the humanizing factor of like bringing Ock back from having the control over the AI, and like it makes you feel good because you're like, man, if that was like somebody, if you were somebody in those shoes where you're like, oh man, I have something controlling me, to then being able to have that liberty again, like you'd want to help and you want to like get things back on course. And then him seeing Toby at the end there, like
and then it went back to his universe and drowned.
Dude, that's the thing. Okay, here's I want to ask you this, right? Do you think they'll head back to their tangent universes and then like follow that destiny, or do you think because they're changed, things will change? Because technically, they could be starting another timeline.
I like think they're starting another timeline. Yeah. Like they go on and like, yeah, there's a universe where like Doc Ock didn't die, Willem Dafoe didn't die, but they're like separate timelines. So there's a universe where like Willem Dafoe.
So you still have like the Toby films.
That's his launch point. In Doc Ock's universe, he goes back to like Willem Dafoe is already dead, and then he gets to live though and go on in his life.
Yeah,
that's my thoughts.
I like that. Yeah.
All right, ready for patron shoutouts?
Yeah, hit me with them.
Cue the Epic Stars music. Boosh, we got patron Lori, Frank, Rick, Lisa, Evan, Tony. Thank you so much for pledging the tier. That gets you this shout out. If you'd like to support us over on Patreon, like it's down in the description. You get the audio episodes early, special benefits, cool perks, all that jazz, and more. Thank you seriously, sincerely to our patron supporters. Ready to jump into cool comments?
Yeah. Who we got this time?
So, again, for cool comments, we're going to be kind of all over the place, like back and forth with when we're covering them. So if we didn't get to your comment, I apologize. We hopefully might get to it in another episode, but we might not as well. But we are seeing them and really appreciate your comments. But Zach Henry on our film genre episode said, my favorite genre when it's well done is comedy action with movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, Central Intelligence, and Ant-Man. So
yeah, that's pretty good. Those
two were on our list, so
examples
that's good.
There.
Yeah. I like Central Intelligence, honestly. My grandma loves that movie. Kevin Hart, The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that pairing. Did you see The Rock, like, he's comparing Black Adam to A24 films? Did you see that?
No.
He's, like, not happy that Black Adam was eclipsed by Black Panther. And, like, I think IGN posted, like, the fact, like, just stated that fact, like, Black Panther surpasses Black Adam in like its second weekend or something like that. And The Rock was like, oh, kind of like weird that you said that, like whatever. And then in another interview he said like, well, it's kind of cool, we're doing like A24 numbers, so we're kind of like underground and like it's kind of cool like that. And I was like, no, do not compare your Black Adam to A24 films. Like I don't think that logic works out. I don't know. Like The Rock, Dwayne, we were in the same room together once. I feel like I can speak candidly. I can speak candidly with you. Don't kid yourself, man. Not just kidding.
No. Like Black Adam was a fun film. It honestly did a good job introducing the character, but larger scale, I think Wakanda Forever, especially because of what happened with Chadwick and all that.
Yeah,
had much more of a cultural impact with
that.
Yeah.
So in the first Black Panther had such a cultural impact as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and he has a point. Like he said, like Black Panther has been established for like years now, and it's this crazy movie. And Black Adam is like a new franchise with like new characters, which is again totally fair. But yeah, I don't know. Say whatever he wants to say to make him sleep at night.
Reminds me of that. Oh god, is that House Party trailer? I keep on saying it's like there's these two guys that go into LeBron's house.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
It's like the hologram of LeBron. He's like, you handled that transfer from this team over there perfectly. And he's like, oh no, that's capping.
that's Black. The Rock has a hologram of himself. Black Adam was a great movie. Yeah. All right, ready to jump into the introduction?
Yeah. Tell me when.
When?
We just talked about what we want to talk about. Now we're done.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I'm trying to think of the order of when these are coming out. So I think next week is the 19th. So it's our last episode before Christmas Day that's going out. And we're going to be covering the best Christmas movies of all time. And the worst. I don't know. Maybe. We'll talk about it. Yeah. So see you for
Rap
that.
City Street Kids.
Oh my gosh. See you. Subscribe for that. Goodbye.
Yeah. Bye.